Hey, what's up? I guess I kind of had this idea that I wanted to talk about uh, music, and more specifically, the music I like, and then more specifically than that, um, why I like it, and then more specifically than that, why I try to help those bands, right? Because, yeah, anyways, so music that I typically like is usually pretty heavy stuff. Um, and obviously, you can always go more heavy, right? You can always go lighter, you can always go heavier, you know. So I guess the type of music that I like is typically hard but melodic, is sort of the underpinnings of the kind of music that I like. Um, there's a lot of bands that I like. Some of them you wouldn't think I would like them because they don't really fit the mold of the other stuff that I like. Like Modest Yahoo is a really good example of that. Is like I don't really have another comparison to make to him in terms of what I like, but I really like his stuff. And his last album Undercurrent is pretty amazing. I mean, I've listened to it quite a few times and it's good. It's good stuff. But getting back to what I typically like. So my sort of idea of what I think is good music is pretty synonymous with this album that I just bought a couple weeks ago, Alpha by War of Ages, and that's really one of my favorite albums, I think. And I've only had it for a little while, and it came out in 2017, and I didn't hear about it until almost the end of 2018. But I've listened to that thing so many times now, and it's like I'm starting to really enjoy it and on a fuller level. Um, but anyways, I recall the first time I listened to the album, I was like really, really trying to listen to the lyrics in the songs, and it's like, yeah, I can understand it, and which is kind of weird because they scream a lot, and they don't scream as much as some of the other stuff I listen to, but they scream a lot, and usually I have difficulty understanding that, but I could understand it, and the lyrics just really, really spoke to me. Um, as I listened to the full album, I just sat there on my phone, looking at the screen and trying to understand the lyrics that they were talking about. Then I had, bought the CD a couple weeks later when I had a little extra cash. Um, but yeah, that War of Ages Alpha CD is that's right about where I like to get in terms of complexity and heaviness, and um, the lyrics are great too because they're real, and uh, they don't they're how do I say this? Um, they're basically worshiping God. I guess that would be the way that I would say it. Is they're not overly artistic with their what they're trying to do. I mean, they have very specific, you know, lyrics that give glory to God, and that's something that I really like. But my tastes are not only that, right? It's like to go the other direction, with stuff that sounds simple but it's not. It's like POD. They're a huge influence on me, and I really like pretty much everything they do. I don't think there's a song that they've made that I haven't liked. Um, but yeah, Circles is coming out in a couple weeks, and it's gonna be great. I can't wait to hear the album. It's just, you know, POD is more of a groovy album, groovy band. Like they do the sort of rap rock sometimes, and that gets misconstrued. Like people don't really get it too much. But I mean, they've sort of been like their own pioneers of their own sound. At least that's what it sounds like to me. Like listening through, the different albums that they've had, and they've had just minor tweaks that it seemed like they've made, um, and those are appreciated. I mean, really, I mean, it seems like they've just gotten more and more polished with what they come out with. Um, and that's not to say like the earlier stuff that they had was just so raw, like stuff on Brown, like some of that stuff is just amazing stuff. It's really cool stuff. Um, like Know Me and Selah. I mean, those are songs that I don't want to get away from too much because they're so cool. Um, but so that's sort of like a rundown of sort of my interests. Again, Project 86 is another band that I really like. Um, Norma Jean, Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter is I really like the way they compose their music. It's kind of like a similar feeling that I have towards Demon Hunter as I do towards War of Ages. It's like when you hear it, it's just like it just does something for me. It's like, and that's true on a lot of different albums, but I mean, just I guess like Demon Hunter's latest two albums that they came out with, Extremist and I forget the name of the other one, but I have both of them. And listening to those albums, it's like they're so smooth and yet it's still metal. It just seems like those albums are in a class of their own. It's like I don't know how they do that, how they can make those sounds and then make it sound heavy and make it sound smooth at the same time. It's really cool. Um, so that kind of is the kind of stuff that I like. Um, Now let's see. Um, what else do I want to say? Yeah, I think I'm somebody that doesn't do too many things without a purpose, and so um, one of the things that I want to do is like support the bands that I like. And I don't have a lot of money to throw at them. I mean, I wish I did. I wish I could just, merch out and have every possible thing I wear is like some band thing. But I can't do that because I don't have the money for it. So, what I try to do instead is like have other ways to show that I want to support the band. Like I'm almost always going to, if I like the CD or whatever, I'm going to buy a CD from their store. Because like most of the profits will go right to them. It doesn't cost that much to make a CD, and so I realize that. But when you're paying even $8 or whatever for a CD, it's like that does a lot for them as an artist. Um, as a way to make income. It's like if you can buy merch stuff from the website that the band comes from, that's the way to do it because they get the most money doing it that way. Or if you go, see them play live or something like that, and then you visit their merch tables. That's another way that they really make a lot of money. It's like you don't think so, but yeah, they make a lot of money doing merch stuff. Um, so why do I care about this? It's like, why? Well, I'm a Christian for one, and that's a huge deal to me. That's like number one in my life. And so what that does is that influences me to like other people that are also Christians. And one of those things is music. It's like because I love music so much. So if you can get my faith, if you can get your faith worked into your music, I have a higher chance of giving you the time of day. Um, and I'm always willing to listen to something new just to see what it's like. But I'm gonna be hesitant if it's not a Christian message. And so why am I like that? Well, because I think what you put into your mind, what you put into your body, is so like you're a temple, and your mind is a temple too. And so if you're putting in garbage into your brain, it's like it's really hard to get past all those messages that get sent to your brain, um, because they have an effect on how you think about things. Like you might not think so, but they do. They really do. It's like they play a passive role in your thoughts, and so that's why I want to expose myself to more, Christian things. I shouldn't say Christian things. I should say, you know, uh, good messages, right? Because um, although I'm a Christian and that means everything to me, at the same time, I there's enough play in the artistic expression to where it doesn't always manifest itself as the music that's produced or the art that's produced doesn't always manifest itself as explicitly Christian um, you know music. And so the thing about that is let's see, what do I want to say here? The thing about that is you don't want to um, confuse yourself, right? So yeah. Sorry, I just got a little pop up on my phone while I was doing this video and it confused me. So yeah. Um, the other thing is what am I willing to do to support these bands? Well, that means I'm willing to financially support them. It means I'm willing to support them by word of mouth, by telling other people about the bands, in some cases strangers, and say, hey, you might want to check these guys out if I feel like, maybe that person can jive to our particular band. I'm not just there to represent one band, but if I feel like, oh, I see a guy with, maybe dreads or whatever, and he seems like he's, um, you know, um, kind of a cool cat, whatever, it's like I might want to share POD with him, like, or there could be a guy, who's like dressed in like all black or something and wearing a trench coat, and like with that guy, I might want to share something more like um, September Sky or something like that. So um, it just depends what I think the other person might be into. Um, yeah. So I talked about what I like. I really say why I like them? I don't think I did. But I guess why I like that stuff. I've always been drawn to heavy music ever since I was a little kid. It's like my friend had a bunch of stuff like what 21 Pilots or you know another band. What would be another band? Like maybe like U2 or something like that. And it's like he had that and he had System of a Down. It's like I would go to the System of a Down thing all like every time, because the heavy stuff is just in me. It's like it feels satisfying, I guess is the way to say it. I feel satisfied by more heavy expression, you know. Um, so yeah. Um, it's like the other thing, part of that is, I'm a strong introvert, and an introvert needs to, sort of get their aggression out in some way, shape, or form, and sometimes that's music. And, it can be like a passive type of manifestation of aggression is just like vibing out to some heavy stuff, It's like that can be your outlet for aggression, you know and it's a kind of a coping mechanism too, because you can deal with those emotions without um, necessarily behaving in an outwardly aggressive fashion. So it's like it helps you compartmentalize um, heavy emotions sometimes, um, so yeah. um, there's so when I like a band, I'm generally going to do a lot to help them. Um, and I'm not looking to buddy up with them because of that or anything like that. I just, I realize that bands need help sometimes, maybe spreading the word or, uh, repping a shirt. Like I'm repping a Project 86 shirt right now. But yeah, so, um, yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything I needed to cover. Um, so yeah, um, if you like a band, buy merch stuff from their website or from their their merch table, because that goes a long way, and buy their CDs from them. Um, yeah, so that's all. Bye.